Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Marvel Rivals Season 5 tier list by yours truly. Without further ado, let's get into the tier list, right? So, Adam Warlock. I think Adam Warlock's balanced. I think Adam Warlock's in a really, really solid spot right now. I definitely think you can't run him with every comp, but I think he's doing all right. He's definitely a character that takes a lot of skill to be able to kind of like get that healing as high as possible. He's definitely going to perform into comps that better that don't have shields because of the headshot. So I think he's balanced though. Black Panther. Honestly, I think with the direction the game's going, I don't want to say he's bad. I would say I want to put him in niche because he's not bad. But if they don't have the proper counters, he can pop off, right? Especially with that Hulk team up, that gives him the bubble and stuff. So I definitely think Black Panther's not bad, but there's just a lot of things that survive his dive as well as just make him doing anything insanely hard. So we're gonna put him in niche. Black Widow. I think Black Widow is niche as well. The reason I say that is because with Mantis, she is insane. Gains one shot potential onto squishies, and is has a way to kind of defend herself against small dives. I don't think she's bad, but I think she definitely needs the Mantis to get value, and that's why she's a niche. Moving on to Hulk. I think Hulk is. Oh man, this is hard, but I think Hulk's good, great. We'll put him in good for now. I think Hulk's solid. I think Hulk's downfall is his difficulty. I think to properly play the Hulk, you have to put a lot of time into him, which makes his value inherently go down. Because as you'll see, as the guys that are up here in the must picks, no matter like how much time you put into them, most of the time they kind of just produce way too much value. Or maybe you do need to grind them, but their value's still insanely high. So we'll put him for there now, but there's not he's not an absolute. He can move up. Captain America is great. I think he's a solid tank. I wouldn't say he's broken. The buff he just got is nice, but I think with the way most people play him, it's not going to get insane value, but it will have moments and it will do a lot of good. So I think he's great. I think he's one of the better dive tanks, if not the best, maybe. So yeah, he's solid. He could even move up, but we'll leave this here for now. Cloak and Dagger. Honestly, I've never been a super big fan of Cloak and Dagger. I don't think she's bad. I wouldn't even say she's a niche. Honestly, I think she's balanced, but she's definitely. I definitely would like. I think Adam has more playmaking potential than she does. Has good qualities to her kit. When it comes to the healing with the auto aim and things like that, I feel like that's where it kind of limits how good she can be, because you don't want a character that's that easy to be insane, but at the same time, like you kind of want to rework her so that you can kind of give more skill expression. But yeah, so I would say she's balanced. I don't think she's bad, but I don't think she's insane. Doctor Strange, I think Doctor Strange is definitely good. I think I'll keep preaching until it's gone. Remove the anti-heal on himself. It's dumb. I think his portal is insane. You always need to kind of use it. But I think in terms of matchups with other tanks and things like that, I think it can kind of get really rough. So I'd put him at good, and I put him probably around here right now. Right now, I think Groot is probably a must pick, must ban. I think Groot is insane with the new effect he has on his big wall that makes him immune to all status effects, all negative status effects. This guy is a literal walking kaiju. Groot is insane right now. Insane. I like literally like Groot is bonkers. Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye is good. Could even go up to great. I'll put him in great for now. Just the one shot potential is really oppressive. Just due to the fact that literally, dude, he can change the whole fight with one shot. So kind of the same thing with the Black Widow, but the difference is he doesn't need somebody to do that. She needs the Mantis, and that's why she's a niche. Hela. I think Hela is also great. She's still one of the best duelists in the game. I don't think she's must pick because I think Bucky and stuff. It's going to be map dependent. I think there's going to be maps where she will be outshined by other characters, especially in certain parts of the map. But I think Hela is definitely one of the most consistent characters in the game. She's always going to be pretty good. All right. Moving on to the next one. Iron Fist. Iron Fist got a little bit better. He's a lot better at fighting tanks, but I think Iron Fist is very one-dimensional. You kind of know how he's going to play, what he's going to do. He doesn't have as much flexibility as other characters. Um, I think he's balanced. Yeah, I think he's balanced. I want to put him in niche because I think you can kind of pull him out in different scenarios. You can kind of play a little flexible, but he does have like kind of like a set play style. But I would say he's balanced. I think Iron Fist is in a really good spot. If you buff him, it'll be annoying because he's a melee auto lock character. But if you nerf him, he's gonna really fall down. So I think he's balanced. In terms of Iron Man, I think Iron Man's balanced. I think obviously whether you have hit scans or not in the air. Obviously, if you don't, he's going to feel even better. But I think Iron Man's balanced. I think he has good damage. He's not too fast, nothing too crazy. I think he's a good. His identity as a flyer is kind of like make characters like the Iron Man with small tweaks, and you can have him be a little bit better, and that's chilling. I think on maps that Iron Man shines on, he could definitely be in the good category. But I think in general, he's balanced. Jeff's a land shark. Jeff is I think right now Jeff's a great support. His ult now leaves a healing pool for his teammates. It's not as great as Luna's healing pool that she can move around, but he has AoE heals that can also damage. He's really hard to dive, and yeah, I think Jeff is has definitely made his way up the list. You can argue maybe putting him at top of good, but I think Jeff's a pick that you can just pull on, especially maps that have um, environmental hazards. So with that being said, I'll put him in good because on maps that don't have environmental hazards, his ult gets less value, right? And that's a big part of Jeff is the capability to swallow enemies and throw them off. But at the same time, if you can swallow multiple, even just run away, you've eliminated yourself, but you've eliminated the like part of the enemy team as well. You just gotta be really well thought out of what you're gonna do. You can't just ult randomly and pull them into your team and then basically create a pseudo die for them. So I'd say he's good. Loki, I think Loki's still great. I would say he's a must pick. Because I love Loki and I am biased. But they did nerf his damage a little bit, but you know what? We'll leave him in must pick. Why? Immortality field, the ability to copy strong ultimates, things like that. I think Loki's probably the best designed support, but needs some nerfs. Like I think his kit was very well designed. But he just needs a little bit of nerfs probably to his base kit to kind of pull him down to great. I think Loki's insane. Loki, you can never go wrong with a Loki pick. The only issue is you kind of have to pick your other support around the Loki, right? So he kind of demands that. Luna Snow, I think Luna Snow is great. I don't think she's a must pick. She's definitely good. She's definitely good. Has crowd control, has good healing, has a little bit of AOE healing, and has a fantastic ult. But I don't know. I think over time, I mean, she's really lost that identity of the best support in the game. But she's definitely up there. Definitely up there. Magic. Ooh, how do I feel about Magic? I think Magic's this is crazy. This is hard to say. I want to say she's niche because I think there's a lot of potential for her to just delete people. But I think it's kind of the same thing as the BP, where there's a lot the direction the game's going. She's very predictable, and it's really easy to play around her. The only benefit she has over the BP is that she has a little bit of range, but other than that, and her dashes have invulnerability. So, but other than that, I don't know. She's a little bit more flexible than the BP. So I would definitely say that I put her in niche for now. She's not bad, but in the right scenarios, I feel like she can get value. Magneto. I think Magneto's a must pick. I think he's insane right now. He's just always been a great tank, and now he has two bubbles and a great team up. So Magneto's definitely up there right now. Mantis. I think Mantis is. I want to say great. I think she's great. I think Mantis has a phenomenal kit. She's a phenomenal flex support, off support, depending on how you define it, has a good ult and has the ability to make your team do more damage. That'll always be an A plus in my book, as well as the pop off potential to just do DPS like damage, right? So I think she's definitely up there. In terms of trying to organize this a little bit better. Yeah, it's probably okay. I might switch this because I'm biased. I'm gonna go with my bias. It's my tier list. I'd say it like this: Moon Knight, balanced. I think he's all right. I think Moon Knight's not great, not bad. But he's definitely not bad. So I'd say he's balanced. In terms of balanced here, I think this is actually in a pretty decent order. Namor has an anti-heal now, which definitely puts him at the upper parts of thing. I definitely think Jeff's better. I'd even maybe I'd say that. Ooh, but my issue with Namor is he's a great pick. Has squids. He lost his really OP team ups, but even still, I think Namor is a great pick. Why would I have Namor in good and not great? Let me think about that. I think that these have more pop off potential, but I think in terms of team play and what group being good, I think definitely Namor is definitely going to be probably here. I'd say rather here. I'd say in most cases, you could, in terms of team play, you know what? Nah, it has to be here. I might even, I want to drop hella down, but I think just the Hella's ability to just take over games is insane. So I think he has that edge over Namor. But in terms of team play, Namor definitely has some insane value. But I think Hellas just still has that capability to just take over games with raw mechanics. Penny Parker, as much as I want to say she's niche, um, I don't want to say she's great because I definitely think there's things that can kind of abuse her. Um, but I'd say out of these tanks, she's probably the best, the most consistent out of them with the buffs she's gotten. Penny Parker's always been a sleeper pick, but I think over time, especially with the buffs now, she's just people have realized more and more how to play her, and they're playing her less than just like an idle bot, and more so of like I want to control the space and I want to deny things. So people are getting a lot better with Penny. So I definitely think she's good. I don't want to put her in the great category, because I think there's clear things that can abuse her. She doesn't have a shield, right? So yeah, I think with defense, she definitely does the thing. Psylocke. Psylocke's great. Psylocke is one of the best counters to the basically all these DPS. And her ult's pretty good team wise and self wise. I'd say I'd say Psylocke is a little worse than Hela. Even though Psylocke kind of wins this matchup, I think that overall Hela does a little bit more. I don't know actually. Psylocke's better in the tanks. Psylocke's better against the Hela. Maybe this. Maybe this. I think yeah. Yeah. I don't think she's a must pick, but at the same time, it's really hard to say don't pick Psylocke. Like when I think, actually, I might be lying, bro. I think Psylocke might be a must pick. I think Psylocke might be that good. Oh, you know what it is? You know what it is? It's the Loki. It's the Loki that really kind of checks the Psylocke. So with that being said, I think she's a must pick, but I think she loses value when Loki's on the board. When Loki's gone, Psylocke pops off, right? So I think this is appropriate. Punisher. I think he's definitely better than these guys here. I think he's more consistent than this guy here. Definitely bring more value than that. Probably more value than that. I'd put him in good. I think he's better than these characters. More consistent, more applicable. Yeah, I think he's just. I think Punisher's in a great spot right now. I think he's very, very, very balanced, but he's better than balanced. He's a little bit better than balanced. I really like where he's at. I don't want him to get any better, any worse. I think Punisher should stay exactly how he is, especially after bringing up his damage a little bit. Rocket Raccoon. Rocket has a res, which already brings him up to good, great. His healings, his ults, as well. Would I prefer a Rocket over Mantis? Actually, yes. Would I prefer a Rocket over Luna? I probably wouldn't make that comparison. In terms of flex supports, and then Jeff's kind of like a hybrid. I'd say this is a good spot for a Rocket. Because the res is insane, the ultimate's pretty good. So yeah, I think Rocket's great right now, especially with the buffs he got with a little bit more healing in terms of how many orbs he has, how fast they fly, and he does a little bit more damage now. So yeah, Spider-Man. Spider-Man is interesting. I think Spider-Man isn't bad. He might fall into the niche category. I think he's better than BP, better than Widow, better than yeah. And the reason why I say that is because I think Spider-Man's a is a all is it's a bust as in bad, or it's a break or bust. Either you're carrying or you're probably not doing too much. But he has a pull. People forget that he has a pull. He's a little mini hook that can pull people off maps, pull people out of position. He can abuse people who are out of position, whether they're by themselves in the back or they're too far forward. I think Spider Man is one of those picks where I think he's niche. Um, and in terms of like where I put him somewhere else, I put him niche because he can either feel really good or bad, depending on your skill level. But if we're going off of this guy, most Spidey mains are those guys that just play too much Spidey. We'll put him in niche and we'll put him at top of niche. I think Spidey has the potential to really put some work in. Um, Squirrel Girl. Funny enough, I think Squirrel Girl is definitely up here. And her ult her ult's weird because it either gets value or it doesn't. And you can say that about every ult, but it's one of the ones where it's just like sometimes it doesn't deserve to get value and it does, and sometimes it does, but it doesn't really have a combo. It's very selfish ult. You kind of just use it on your own. Um, you can break it, but there's not like any direct counters. I'd honestly say this is probably gonna be weird of me because her survivability sucks and her movements meh because her movements straight vertical. So I can't have her contest with these characters because her movement's pretty meh. Like I honestly, I'd put her in great, but I can't decide if I think she's better than Hawkeye due to the fact that he can one shot, and the one shot just gives him so much inherent value. So yeah, I'd probably leave her here. But in terms of these other characters, because I don't want to put them like I don't want to base them off of this because these are supports. So don't take this as a direct like worst to best. You got a tank here, you got damages, you got supports. Just know they're in the category. Out of this cast, she's the worst. So I'm gonna leave her here. Star Lord. Star Lord has a team up with Rocket, allows him to TP. Star Lord's always been a great pick. I would say in the climate we have of tanks, I would say he's worse than Psylocke. Doesn't she just way too much burst? His movement's pretty good. His ult's decent, but I'd say definitely worse. Definitely worse. Definitely worse. I think he's more applicable than the Squirrel Girl. I think you will see more Star Lords as an off DPS than you will see a Squirrel Girl. Remember, guys, Squirrel Girl has crowd control, has pretty high burst damage, and has the ability to reset her crowd control, so she can double stun somebody, things like that. A good, I feel like we haven't gotten a great enough Squirrel Girl player to really see how dominant she can be. I think she can be ridiculous. Well, I think this is good though. I think versatility. He takes on versatility. Storm. I think Storm is niche, and the reason why I say she's niche is because she's definitely better than Iron Man. This is not even debatable. She's definitely better than Iron Man. Definitely better than all these characters here. I'd love to put her in good. I'd say she's even better. But my only issue with Storm is she's map dependent. I feel like you need cover. Obviously, with the Storm, you can't on really open maps. She's gonna get bullied by the poke DPS, and that's kind of what keeps her out of that great category. But just keep in mind, I think she's definitely good. I think she's super good, but I think that it's map dependent. And with that being said, she's the best niece out of these due to the fact that she buffs her teammates. She makes her teammates super good, right? So, yeah. Thor. I love Thor. Thor has definitely gained a spot in my heart. This character has gotten better and better. Has a decent team up with Angela. Um, in terms of team play, he's a very selfish character. He's just kind of a damage. He's kind of like a check tank. He's a brawler. He's good into tanks. Can do certain things against certain DPS, but he's too slow. In terms of him versus Hulk, I think he's good. He's a good counter into tanks, but I think these tanks bring more value. So since you're really only picking him for as a counter, he might actually fall into the niche category. But at the same time, because I think if you're not picking him into a counter, he's probably not the best. just due to the fact that he will get burned by DPS and tanks that he can't burn. Like, what does he do, right? What does he do if you can't burn a tank? He's just yeah. So I would say he's niche, and which means he's not bad and he's not quite balanced. He's good though. He's good. In this, so I put him in niche. More applicable than this, I'd say. More applicable than this. You need a character to make you good, and Spider-Man is extremely hard to play, so I'd put him there. Scarlet Witch. Interesting. She still has a good team up with the Doctor Strange, but with Doctor Strange being good, she can't be that insane. She's very survivable. But so are a lot of characters nowadays. Doesn't have insane bursts. Her ultimate is kind of meh because it's very predictable. But with a character that has auto aim, you don't want to give her too great of a kit. She's not bad though. And I wouldn't say she's niche. I'd say she's balanced. I think she's in a great spot. I think she's these definitely bring more value than she does. I think she's a pick. Honestly, no, I wouldn't say she's balanced. I think in general she's bad, but she has opportunities. No, yeah, no, yeah. I take that back. I think in general she's not a great character. Doesn't have the range, doesn't have the burst. But I think in terms of if you just need a DPS who's going to be really annoying and who's going to just like not die, I think she's definitely a pick. And like I said, she's kind of a conditional thing. So I would say that you have no real reason to pick her outside of like I just need to not die. Like their win condition is killing me. They can't do anything else. I just need to not die. I think she's here. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think too, because now that I think about it, that she just needs a character to be good. With Mantis, I think she feels great without Mantis. Um, she's like she can still be kind of good, but okay, she's definitely better than these. I'll leave her here. Venom. I'm biased. Best off tank. Venom has anti-heal in his ult, which is great. He's one of the best diving tanks. But he's also a very selfish pick. He doesn't provide anything for the team. So with that being said, I'm going to put Venom here, and I'm going to put Captain America up here because Captain America can he does similar things. The main difference between them, if you're going to choose him or him, is going to be team comp and map. But I think Venom is still extremely dominant. He can take over games. He can shred through support ults with his anti-heal now, so comboing with Venom is going to be definitely insane. So yeah, I think he's great. I don't think he's busted due to the fact that they keep making Cap better and better. Buggy. Bucky's great. I definitely think there's maps where he can, and certain parts of maps where he just outshines the hella. Has crowd control that kind of checks tanks, but with more and more tanks getting ways to kind of like group, not get bullied by it. Emma can't be bullied by it. Shield tanks can kind of dodge it. I'd say on a consistency wise, Hella takes the edge. But I think definitely if I had to pick between Bucky and Namor, I'm picking Bucky. I think Bucky brings more to the table. Bucky's annoying. He has so much shielding, and he can affect more things than the Namor can. Namor's just a really, really safe pick. Wolverine. Guys, I think I can finally say it. I think Wolverine's bad now. Um, I want to put him in niche because he's better than Scarlet. He's more applicable than most of these characters here. But he shines in the triple tank. He shines into tanks that suck. But with tanks getting more and more ways to just not get bullied by him or just get away from him, he's not going to be as oppressive moving forward as he is. This might be a hot take, but I just think that's just true. Yeah, Mr. Fantastic got some nice buffs. He's definitely better than all these characters, more applicable than most of these characters. He kind of gives me vibes that the Scarlet does, but I think he's actually more valuable. You pick him when you don't want to die, or if you're playing a tank that's getting bullied by the wolf, you pick him. So I think I don't. He doesn't really benefit the team. He's just kind of a tank, like a tanky DPS. So I'd say You'll probably see more Adams than you will see this guy. You'll probably see more Cloaks than that, and I think this is kind of where it goes. So we'll put him there. I think he's great. A lot of potential. Honestly, insane, but I think it's map dependent. and comp dependent. You don't just pull him out because in the open he's gonna get fried. So yeah. But don't get me wrong, I might be wrong about this one, and I'll admit that because of the buffs he got. Just the fact that he can just heal, but he is slow. So that range maps are really gonna be that what really gets him. So with that being said, I won't put him in balance because it's really gonna be map dependent. So we'll put him in niche. Better, 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 better. Yeah, we'll put him there. Yeah, we'll put him there. Through the fact that there's definitely gonna be maps where he can just take over, but at the same time, there's gonna be maps where it's like I can't do anything, right? Invis, I was always 50-50 on Invis, but good ult, insane utility, which I think with how the game's going, I think her utility is going to be more consistent than the damage amp because it's based on you and not depending on your teammates. Now, here's where it gets really weird, right? Because I definitely think that you're going to want to pick Invis more times than you're going to want to pick the Luna. Um, I think, yeah, she's just more survivable. It's safer to start on Invis and switch to Luna than it is to go Luna and switch to Invis. Invis is going to cover more of your grounds. Now, what I will say is that Luna's more flexible in terms of she will fit into more comps. She's better with certain DPS. And so I would say Luna's a little bit better. In their most optimal cases, Luna's a little bit better. But I think that Invis is so infinitely better at surviving dives. So yeah. But in terms of just raw value, Luna's ult is better because they can move around. You can also damage amp, so it's more versatile. You have a freeze, you have AoE heals and a hit scan heal and decent damage with her thing. So I definitely put her up here. You do have team ups with the Invis, but I don't think that's enough to bump her above the Luna. So I think we'll leave it here. And then kind of to correlate this, would I want a Jeff or a Luna? I think that Jeff has no problems healing basically every character. Since maps are really going to change how much value he gets and how I think this might be it. So we'll do this. Thing. Thing is going to be a pick where I really don't know. I would love to say Thing is bad because he sucks into hit scans, big head, and things like that. And I want to say he's niche because there's going to be, I think now there's going to be matchups that he can absolutely win. So I want to put him in niche. But I think that if I had to choose between a Thing and a Mr. Fantastic, there's a weird chance I might have to go Fantastic. Just due to the fact you have more range, you're survivable, things like that. Might be a hot take, but I'm going to leave it there. Human Torch. I haven't seen him been playing too much. In terms of Storm versus him, I think that he's more survivable than Storm, but I think Storm does more for the team. So I definitely going to leave him underneath the Storm. Yeah, lost a lot of team ups, so he's not as great. But I think he still has a little bit invis. So, but yeah, I think he's definitely still like if I had to like if Niche wasn't here, he'd be wherever Storm is and underneath her. I would say that he's definitely a little bit better than Balance. I think he's definitely a good character, but I think that he's worse than Storm. And I think that on maps that are super open, he'll definitely get punished. So I don't want to put him in good because there will be times where um, he shines and he doesn't. And I definitely think that if I had to choose between him and Iron Man, I'm choosing him because he's just so much more survivable. Emma Frost, great tank, great tank, great tank. Better, better. Is she better than the Penny though right now? Emma is a solid tank, does a good damage, has CC immunity for a portion of time, can really like brawl tanks. But if I had to pick an Emma or a Magneto, who am I picking? That's a great question. Am I picking her over Penny Parker? Probably, yeah. I think you'll probably see more Emmas than you will Penny. When it comes to, I might put her in great. I definitely think Venom is just probably overall better tank. But since maps will decide between either an Emma, or a Venom or a Cap, because you probably see like Emma Venom, Emma Cap. If you can't get certain characters, I'd say this is more so an equal playing field. But I think that I think it's more likely that you'll see her. It's easier to play her, so I'll put her in great. She's not a must pick though. Emma's really solid right now. Ultron. Man, I don't want to put nobody in bad, bro, because they like I feel like all characters have some value. But my issue with Ultron, I think he does great damage. He's great in triple support. Um, but as if we're just talking about a straight strategist, obviously he'd probably fall into the niche category because he's not balanced. I think he's a great flex support, but what would I make? What change would I make to him? Honestly, I feel like I don't know. He's definitely not. He's definitely not balanced because I think he could be a little bit better, but I don't know what I'd give him. So I'm gonna put him in niche. Somebody's going to bad. I promise you. Somebody is going in bad. They will go there. Just hold on. Sorry, our cast is getting bigger and bigger. These take longer and longer. But I think he's more applicable. Is he more applicable than Scarlet? Man, yes. Good with flyers and on certain maps. Oh man, this is a hard one. I think there's certain maps where he definitely just feels great. Like honestly, he feels great. Um, but I think these characters you'll see them a lot more. Even this one, surprisingly. So we'll leave him here. He's a little bit better than Dewanda because she really doesn't have a thing. But he's triple support and he really enables flyers. And so I honestly think he can kind of pseudo dive a little bit. Not really, but kind of. Phoenix. Phoenix has self-sustained, great, good poke, an ult that breaks utility, shields, things like that, which would definitely bring her up. But if I had to choose her between these characters, am I choosing her over the Namor? Uh, it's gonna really depend. It's gonna really depend. Oof. Namor has anti-heal. He has squids that will shoot for him, but she has more movement. I think she has more individual play potential, but team-wise, Namor probably has the edge. She does have a stun. She does have self-sustain, which Namor doesn't have. I'd say, man, this is a hard one. I want. I think her and Namor. I think the only thing that changes is it's going to be team comp that's really going to decide. Like, with that being said, with team comp deciding if the comp is better for Namor, you pick Namor. If it's not, you pick the Phoenix. So with that being said, in the most optimal situations, obviously Namor. If not, her. And I think as an individual, not if you sometimes you don't want to really rely on your teammates, so you're going to go with the playmaking potential. So I'd say maybe Jean. And in terms of these characters here, I think with having the Rocket and the Penny being in things, you might want the Buck. You might want her over the Bucky, just because of her ult. But you might also just want her and Bucky, right? So with that being said, if the comp doesn't have things that she needs to break, Bucky's probably just infinitely better. So we're probably sitting like this. And then, like I said, with where the meta's going, just looking at all these tanks, it's like, is Hela gonna, and into this as well, is Hela gonna deal well with all these things? And it's probably no. As you get higher and higher, and especially map dependent, Hela's probably gonna get less value, especially into certain things. So this is actually making, I feel like this is making her drop low key. I don't think she drops under Phoenix because I think in a situation where you don't need the Phoenix, you probably just go the Hela. Um, like I think Hela's more versatile in terms of like if you need a hit scan, you pick the Hela. If you need someone to break things, you're gonna pick the Phoenix. But at the same time, if we want to rely less and less on teammates, sustain is definitely a thing, a better thing than the Hela has. They both have stuns. They both have mobility. She has more mobility options. So you know what? We're gonna give the edge to Phoenix here, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this because this is a hard. I want y'all to know this was a hard decision for me. This is a very hard decision for me. Blade. His ultimate's good. I haven't played enough Blade to give y'all a truly honest answer. But I think if I had to choose, I would want Blade over the Moon Knight, which is kind of making me want to put Moon Knight into the niche category. Because I think on maps and into certain comps, he can dominate and not in those things. And yeah, he's going down the niche. Uh, map. This is all map dependent and like comp dependent. But I think generally you'll see more Moon Knight than you'll see than these characters probably. So we'll put him up here. Yeah. Yeah. But I think Blade has a great ult, which definitely like makes me want to put him higher because of the anti-heal and how much damage it is. But it does put you in a weird position, which definitely makes his ult a little awkward. Um, but I think that you'll definitely see. Will you see more Blade than these characters? I don't know. And when I play, okay, if I play more Blade, and I think Blade has like his weapons are just good. I think we can definitely see this because of the anti-heal that he applies in his base kit as well as his ultimate. But I might just want the raw damage from this guy here. Yeah, we'll do this. Angela's interesting. I think Angela is map dependent for sure. She definitely gets a lot more value on certain maps, and it's not her placement. I'm just kind of putting her there for now. But I think that she's a very like in out character. So I kind of want to put her in niche, but at the same time, I definitely think she brings more value than these characters, and she's a little. I think it feels weird to learn her, but I think once you get her down, she's pretty set. But I think in the meta that we're heading to, characters like this are probably going to outshine her and make her job really hard. Groot's going to be a lot harder to pull. These characters have ways to kind of mitigate her pull. So I think she's good, and I think on certain maps she'll dominate. So I kind of want to put her in niche because I think that on the maps that she's great, she can definitely one mistake and she gets value. But you know what though? With how the climate is, it's gonna be even on those maps. It's gonna be hard for her. So I actually might leave her down here. I think that man, Penny's actually a lot better than I'm thinking, low key. Because I think Penny is going to be very applicable, even on maps. If the map's too open, I think that's what it is. It's really just a map. So we're gonna put Penny in niche because it comes down to the map thing. I think certain maps, Penny will be your worst nightmare. Other maps, you're probably just gonna poke her out. If I'm being completely honest, this could be wrong because maybe you just gotta be a better Penny and you'll figure it out. I think in this meta, you're gonna see more Pennies than you will Storm. So we'll put her up here. Daredevil. Funny enough, the hype around Daredevil, he's insane. He's definitely great, but he's a melee character. And if you look at the trend, poke, but like, well, range. Where's the first melee? Range, melee, right? Melee characters, obviously, he can close gaps better than. He's definitely a great gap closer, so he's better than these people. He has wall hacks, and this is actually what's going to help him a lot. He's a better gap closer than most of these characters. He doesn't really rely on anybody. He has wall hacks, so he's definitely a good character. Now, can I justify putting him in great? Will I see him more than Star-Lord? I don't know. I think if you can get away from Daredevil, which is actually probably a lot harder than I'm making it seem. I think that he has a great combo. I think that he's a great chase down potential, and he has built-in 20% DR in his kit. So I definitely think you'll definitely see him more than Squirrel Girl, even though I feel like if people invested more time in Squirrel Girl, maybe not, because I honestly think Squirrel Girl is a great counter to Daredevil. Unironically, you do a ton of damage, and you have crowd controls to kind of keep him locked in place because he can only mark one person for that DR. So I would say, is Star-Lord better? I think Star-Lord. Oh, this is definitely this is hard. She's a great counter, but I think you can't really compare him to the Squirrel Girl because she does different jobs, and out of the jobs she does, they're probably better. In terms of this character here, who's better, him or Star-Lord? Star-Lord's going to have the range advantage, definitely has good mobility, and has good dual potential. But in terms of maybe dealing with these characters, I think that with the Star-Lord, you have to play absolutely perfect to win versus Daredevil. You mark them, and they are going to have a hard time killing you. So I would give the edge to the Daredevil. With that being said, I think these characters are going to get more value. I think Hawkeye with the ability to one shot really just kind of does it all, like does a lot. With that being said, he has an anti heal, which kind of gives him a little bit more value, I'd say, than this guy. But at the same time, I'm starting to kind of lean this way. Um, but in terms of this guy, real quick, man, I want to put him higher, but I don't know because he's really annoying to deal with. Like I feel like there's probably times where like you could just box out a Psylocke because you have wall hacks, so her invisibility doesn't matter. So I think you could just track her down. But I think she definitely probably does more than he does. Has better range, but he has wall hacks. So since he has wall hacks, especially in a team orientated scenario, honestly, I think Daredevil's probably pretty insane. I'm still learning him, um, so I'm like not the best at him, but honestly, I don't think he can kill a Bucky Loki. I think Bucky out sustains him. Definitely can body these people. I think actually Daredevil's really great. Great closer, wall hacks. So even if he can't get value, he can feed so much information to his team about everybody. You can't hide from Daredevil. It doesn't matter if you're invisible. So he just brings a lot of information to his team, as well as having the ability to really outduel a lot of people. And if you're good at Daredevil, Daredevil's pretty good. I don't think he's must pick, must ban. Um, actually, mm, is the fact that he can outpace other flankers. Man, I'd say he's still a little worse than Psylocke, just due to the fact that I think she just does a lot more burst, and her ult is a lot better because his you can kind of mitigate it by looking away. Yeah, so we'll do this. Yeah, we'll do this. Gambit's new, so it's really hard to place him. Must pick, must ban. No, so as we talk about this, we'll kind of like figure it out. But so Gambit is a good healer, and Gambit has a cleanse, so that's gonna automatically bring him above this character because he can damage amp with his ult, and he can cleanse. So he has CC, he has an anti heal, he can cleanse. He has so much utility, has decent heals, has good mobility. Honestly, oof. I think Gambit and Loki kind of fit the same role for not talking about triple support. So he's definitely not as good as Loki. So people might be like, "What?" But I honestly, I think that's the truth. Loki heals insane amounts, can make his team unkillable. He can't cleanse them, but he can uh, drop a lamp on them. So uh Gambit's probably here. I don't know if Gambit really has the potential to main heal. As I've been playing him, I've been doing all right, and I haven't really had a lot of opportunities to really fully test him out. So for now, I'll leave him here, but there might be a potential to put them here. Um, but I think for now here, and I'm not trying to say he's better than Invis, but I think he has so much utility that really gives him an edge. And we don't know where Rogue goes. We don't even know what her kid looks like. At least I don't. Now, we have to put somebody in bad. And I quite honestly think if I had to pick any support, am I picking Ultron? Like, am I being real? I'm picking Ultron if I think Uncertain Mass, maybe. Hey, I'm gonna put Scarlet in bad. And honestly, I don't even want to do that. Like, for the sake of the video, I want to put her in bad. But I just feel like no character is inherently bad, because Scarlet can win duels against certain things and can just outlive. Like I think a Scarlet will beat a BP if she knows you're there and you try to duel her, she wins. If you're a Magic, she wins. If you're a Wolf, she wins. I actually don't think you're probably beating this guy. Like she's good at fighting things, but she just doesn't really bring anything to a team environment. Nah, we're gonna get rid of the bad tier. We're gonna get rid of the bad tier. I don't think there's a single character that's just flat out bad. I do think that they're worse than others. But I don't think we have a character right now that's just that character's horrible. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. So yeah. Remember when it comes to these the lines, some of them are kind of like good to worst, but When it comes to different roles, like for example, you got tanks here. So like if I were to put them up here, um, yeah. So like when they're in roles, really pay attention to the order. But when they're not in the same role, don't pay attention, obviously, because like it's like, oh, is Sonic better than Loki? It's like you can't compare that because they're not in the same role. So if they're in the line, they're in that category of this character is really good or whatever it says. But really, if you're going to compare them to whoever's in the line, compare them to their role, not to the other characters. So out of the tanks, I would say that Emma's more consistent than the Venom. But if you're going off of me and I'm going to have one of these tanks and it's going to be the Venom or the Cap, I'm going to go for team play reasons, I'll probably go the Cap. But my heart says Venom. Anti-heal and the ability to really just kind of like mess things up. Venom, but I would say team playability because I care about that. So yeah. So yeah, without further ado, that is going to wrap up my season 5 tier list. I know season 5 already started, even though we ended the patch notes, yada yada yada. But this is my opinions. Let me know what you think, right? And just please make sure you understand that niche category means they fit somewhere else on this tier list, but they're too map dependent or comp dependent that I can't give them a solid spot, right? So I don't want to put them somewhere where there's going to be times where they could literally take over the game if they had the right conditions, right? So with that being said, that's it. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you don't disagree, if you agree, doesn't matter. I want to hear your opinions. Leave a like if you enjoyed or got any value from this content. Subscribe to keep up to date with me and my channel and to never miss a Coach Apxche video. No matter whether it's morning, afternoon, night, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody, and I hope to see you in the next one.